and welcome to Homo Politicals. This is Enterprise Television. I'm very pleased to welcome you to the show today. Thank you so much for joining in. Well, let's switch attention today to the seat of power in Nigeria. I'm talking about the Federal Capital Territory, and we're even getting deeper into the main seat of power. I'm talking about the villa which houses the presidency. It's called the Aso Villa. Well, there's something happening there, something brewing there. Reports have emerged that the presidency plans, as a matter of fact, some say that plan has already, it's beyond a plan now, that's started already. Well, there is a 10 billion naira set aside for the for power generation, for alternative power generation for the presidential villa. That's the Aso Villa, and that's a major talking point right now. As a matter of fact, there's been that's drawn controversy. There's been this backlash from Nigerians saying, well, why would the presidency do this when millions of Nigerians are grappling with high cost of electricity tariff and inadequate electricity supply? Well, the presidency has replied to, citing the fact that, well, the White House, the seat of power of the United States of America, a first world economy, as they put, as you know, big economists will put it, that they use that as well. Well, with that example, is this justified? Is this not justified? We get straight into the conversation on Homo Politicals today. Kingsley Bass is my name. Many thanks again for joining me. I'm joined at this time by political commentator Jide Ojo. He joins me from the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. Jide, many thanks for joining me today.
It's my pleasure. Good afternoon.
Yeah, let's get down to the conversation. So first, what do you make of the move by the presidency to get off the national grid and get an alternative power supply in form of a solar grid to the tune of 10 billion naira for the Aso Villa?
Thank you, Kingsley. I see things differently from netizens, and I believe it's high time we understand that whether you and I like it or not, certain decisions have to be made in the best interest of the country. I do not know if that contract is inflated, but the desirability for the seat of the president to have independent source of power supply is a welcome development. Let's face it, do you think Dangote Refinery and several corporate organizations are hooked to the national grid? The answer is no. Many multinational companies are self-sufficient in independent power supply because they realize the unreliability on the electricity distribution companies. Just last couple of weeks, Lagos State Deputy Governor came out to say that until recently, he was paying 2.7 million per month on electricity supply, and that has been jacked on to 29 point something million. What does that tell you? The seat of government in Lagos is just imagine the exponential cost of relying on public power supply. And don't forget, they also have a standby power generator that runs on diesel or other source of energy. So I think since the President Tinubu, after the passage of the constitutional alteration that has moved electricity from the exclusive legislative list to concurrent legislative list, and with Tinubu having signed the bill that enables states and private individuals to generate electricity supply, sometimes last year, I think the cost is clear for individuals, communities, state government, corporate organizations who want to generate electricity and even distribute to do so. So I'm looking at it from this point, Kingsley.
Yes.
If the Alto Rock is off the national grid, the one being consumed by them will be there for distribution to the ordinary citizens. And that will mean that more electricity will be available for you and I. Because the way pricing of electricity is going, and you could see the Nigerian Air Force, allegedly, some of the personnel went to vandalize the property of a co-electricity distribution company some couple of months back.
Yeah, that was Ikeja Electric, yes.
Ikeja Electric, God bless you. Over what they term atrocious price of electricity supply, which has made them to be hugely indebted to the Ikeja electricity supply. So, assuming that all these federal secretariat, state secretariat, ministries, departments, and agencies are themselves could provide independent electricity supply to their offices, I think it will help to ensure that there is more electricity available to ordinary citizens. Because if you go to many ministries, departments, and agencies today, you will be shocked that they are rationing electricity. Some of them has even been disconnected by the distribution companies. Some are not having more than 3 hours of electricity per day, and they don't have money to power their generator.
All right.
Because some don't even have interest to be able to buy diesel to power the generator, or the generator has become unserviceable. So when you go to some of these corporate, some of these ministries, departments, and agencies, they do not have power. And that's why many of their staff are idle. Because once they don't have electricity to power their computers, to print documents, and all of that, they just sit and start, idling around. So I think it's a welcome development for me. I didn't even know that that's what the White House in US does. So if the Tinubu administration deem it fit to win the presidency out of the stranglehold of Abuja Electricity Distribution Company, it then means that whatever they are consuming will be available to power other areas of the FCT, which has been denied adequate public power supply.
Gideojo, while that is, something that some Nigerians might agree with, well, that means more power supply to be distributed. But how does this make the country look? That the seat of power has gone off the national grid. Going by what you've said, this will help the administration and government at the federal level, at least going by this, save costs. Well, this burden shifts back to Nigerians who will have to pay massively. It's not like the cost of electricity is going to be reduced. This continues. The same financial burden will be shifted to Nigerians who would keep complaining about this and feel like, the presidency is going to get into the comfort of having constant power supply because he has access to taxpayers' money, but they would not, because they would need to continue to depend on the national grid. How many Nigerians can, for example, afford to switch to this alternative power supply that the presidency has switched to? Is that something you would like to consider and speak about?
Okay, so in my own estimation, I've given you the background, even the legal perspective to this issue. Every Nigeria, you and I, can as well generate our own power and even distribute. Communities, state government, you could see several state governments are now signing electricity deals. I think it was Abia, this one that Professor Batinaji
Yes.
established,
Yes.
forgotten the name.
Abia
So many states government are now signing electricity deals with foreign counterparts as a means of generating, distributing, and generating, transmitting, and distributing. Even the TCN, the Transmission Company of Nigeria, has been balkanized from what I read. It's like they have now also privatized that. Hitherto it was under the federal government, but I think they've privatized the Transmission Company of Nigeria. So everything that has been privatized, my brother, let's be considerate. You have to pay more. The moment something is not subsidized, there is no two way about it. I am feeling the pinch of because my community now has been put on band-aid. So we are now paying quadruple the amount that we used to pay for electricity in a month. Now, in the short term, this will make Nigerians to pay more. In the long term, it may reduce the price of electricity tariff. Because when more corporate organizations, individuals, state governments start producing, transmitting, and distributing electricity, you can now have alternative. It will become like telecom company, where there are about 5 service providers. If one is not giving you premium service, you switch to the other. You can even port. Using the same number, you can move your telecom operator from one to the other. So I see that happening in another 4 or 5 years with electricity, where when the states start to generate, when powerful individual, look at Davido's father. Davido's father is a key player in the electricity sector. Is building multi-billion-dollar electricity generating company in Lagos. When other players come in, it will be competition, and then the price may be forced down. But don't forget that there are even individuals as we speak now who have decided to be off-grid. They have even asked the discos to come and remove their poles and their wires. They have decided to go solar. Some have decided to go solar. Even in my community here, a couple of houses whose owners are rich enough have decided to go solar. So electricity now has been privatized, and with that, it's now left for individuals, communities, corporate organizations, state government to key in. And so what the presidency is doing now, even though some people say it is shameful, it shows that I saw what Very Dark Man put out, where it was lambasting the Tinubu administration that the president promised to provide 24 hours electricity, but now they are going solar and all of that. But it's all part of the generation. I have issues with the 10 billion because I don't know whether this solar solution will cover the entire 3-arm zone. If it covers the entire 3-arm zone, you may not know what we call 3-arm zone here in Abuja. The three-arm zone is the seat of the president, seat of the National Assembly, and seat of the judiciary, down to Inspector General of Police Headquarters, the police headquarters. Then opposite the three-arm zone, opposite the presidency and the National Assembly, you have the Federal Secretariat. For instance, if this power project that is being done will cover the Federal Secretariat, cover the police headquarters, cover the National Assembly, cover the Supreme Court and the Court of Appeal, cover the High Court, up to the area close to the Transcorp. If it covers that large chunk of government offices, then I think it makes sense.
All right.
Because if that entire area is off the national grid, large chunk of electricity will be off grid. But if we are talking of 10 billion only for the presidential villa, only for the villa, I think it's huge.
Okay.
And the price may have been inflated. But if it covers the National Assembly, covers the judiciary, that's the Supreme Court, the Court of Appeal, which is also on that axis, covers up to the Inspector General, the Force Headquarters, then I think 10 billion, while it may look like huge sums of money, if you convert it to Naira, it's quite insignificant I mean, if you convert it to dollars, it may be quite insignificant in terms of dollar terms.
I think if you convert that with the current rate, it amounts to some $6 million. That's about 10 million naira, right? When converted, amounts to some $6 million. But that said, what does this mean for investor confidence? Those who the president continues and the presidency, this administration continue to tell that they can come to the country, invest in this sector, do this, do that. We've heard the Minister of Power too, who, by the way, a lot of persons have started accusing of shifting attention from the power issues in the country to the governorship elections, your state ahead of 2027. Well, what does this mean for investor confidence? Can this boost the confidence of local and foreign investors who might be looking to invest in this power sector, especially considering what you've referenced in your earlier comment, that people, private corporate bodies, states, government, individuals have started looking to get off the national grid and generate power and supply power too?
I think it's going to boost investors' confidence. Let me tell you something. Just like we have in the oil and gas, when government was paying subsidy, the over 20 corporate organizations that collected license to build refineries did not do so. Only Dangote held the cart and started building its own private refinery after the Blue Star Consortium that it belonged to, after they were denied taking over the Warrior and Port Harcourt refinery in 20. That was under Yar'Adua. Obasanjo sold the Port Harcourt and Warri refineries to Blue Star Consortium, made up of Dangote, Otedola, and a couple of other big players. And even though they have paid, their money was returned to them by former President Umaru Musa Yar'Adua in 2007, because NLC and the rest of them were protesting that those refineries were sold at a cheap price. But look at how much we now paid in subsidy from 2007 to 2013, when Dangote refineries came on stream. To 2023 rather.
Yeah.
Look at the number of years. Look at the gargantuan amount we are paying on subsidy. But the moment subsidy was removed, do you know how many big players are now building refineries in Nigeria? BUA is building a modular refinery. I think there are 2 or 3 others that are built apart from Dangote, because now they are allowed to charge cost-reflective price. What is cost-reflective price? The price that the law of demand and supply will help you to determine. Do you know, as we speak, there is still subsidy in trillions of naira on electricity? Do you know that?
Definitely.
Do you know?
Yes, sure.
That the government is paying subsidy on electricity. That's why up till last year we were having it cheap. The generation, transmission and distribution wasn't cheap. And you possibly have read in the papers where, as of last week, the Gencos complained that they were being owed, is it 2 trillion
4 trillion
naira or more?
4 trillion naira.
4 trillion. That they were being owed 4 trillion. Just imagine that gargantuan. I think Transcorp Power alone is claiming about 600 billion that is being owed it. Several other the power generating companies are also being owed. And don't forget, we are the ones supplying electricity, part of electricity to Niger Republic, to Benin Republic, to Togo. And some of these countries are also owing. Now, I make this analogy to let you know that this diversification, liberalization, and privatization of the power sector, in another 5 years, you will see that nobody will be complaining that they don't have electricity. The issue may be affordability, but the power will be available. Because now many investors are running over themselves to come and invest in Nigeria. Many are partnering with state government to produce, to generate electricity. You know, when Tinubu was governor of Lagos, he initiated this private electricity generation with Enron. But because, as at that time, electricity was under the exclusive legislative list, all his efforts to privately generate electricity for the Lagosians were frustrated. The same thing when Amechi was governor of Rivers State. He also attempted to generate electricity. It was met with brick wall. But one of the legacies of Muhammadu Buhari was the constitutional alteration that has moved electricity from the exclusive legislative list to the concurrent legislative list. Before, Tinubu now sponsored a bill that will now spell out the modus operandi of who can now invest in the power sector. Individuals, communities, state government, corporate organizations, and federal government. So now, you can see all the foreign direct investors are coming to Nigeria to talk business because they have done the mathematics. Do you know that South Africa alone generates 40,000 megawatts of electricity? The last time I checked, 40,000. Nigeria is still celebrating 5,000 to 6,000 megawatts of electricity. So, can you continue to run the country's economy on power generators, on I better pass my neighbor? So this all privatization and diversification and commercialization of electricity generation, transmission, and distribution will help to fast track the number of megawatts of electricity that will be available in the shortest possible time. Like I said, the challenge may be affordability.
Yeah.
But in terms of availability, I think in another 4 or 5 years, we will have more than enough electricity being generated and being distributed.
Oh, well, and that would be the major concern for Nigerians, right? Well, availability, maybe that could be fixed. Is this the beginning of what could be the availability of electricity to millions, a million more Nigerians, to put that simply? But the major concern for Nigerians now, in the immediate and in the future, would be the affordability of this power supply. When they get this, can they afford that? There was a time when Nigerians would say to you, just supply would be willing to pay. But even now, when it is gotten, the cost is choking, and it is burdensome on lots of Nigerians. I'd like to get your final thoughts in just some 60 seconds, Jojo. For Nigerians listening to you, watching this now, saying this affordability part is a major concern. The economy doesn't look like it's getting better. The cost of living is rising. There's a lot to pay for. There's a lot to buy to stay surviving. Yet, electricity does not look like it's going to get affordable. What do you say?
Well, I think in the long run, we'll get used to it. Everybody will adjust their sets, as we have already been doing. Kingsley, I never believed that Nigeria would be buying a liter of PMS, petrol, for 1,000 plus. But it has happened. Everybody has adjusted their set. The cost of goods and services, everybody has adjusted. Even one small orange now, I'm sure you can't get orange for 50 naira anymore.
Nowhere.
Maybe 100, maybe 200 naira. But this is what you take as as a beverage. You just suck. But now, if you don't have even cucumber and all of that, I'm just taking basic examples. How do you ever thought we could buy a mudu of garri for 1,005 or a mudu of rice for 6,000, 7,000? Everybody has adjusted. Everybody will keep adjusting. The options will be there for you. If you know you cannot afford the public electricity supply, then you can as well continue to use a better pass my neighbor. Go and be buying PMS or diesel to power your generator. When you do comparative analysis, you will know which one is cheaper for you. But
the query to that, I'm sorry, Jide, would be that the job of the government is to make life easier for its citizens. They are not doing so. And so should we continue to adjust when government should be the ones adjusting?
I agree with you that the purpose of government is welfare and security of citizens. Welfare is zero now, obviously, because you and I have to pay a lot more. Even the telecoms have increased their tariff, you know that.
Yes.
So everybody is adjusting, and more people are dropping to poverty, below poverty line. That is why there is a lot of views and cries, a lot of crimes and criminality. And I don't blame ordinary citizens. How many of us are equanimous? But the truth is that price will never remain the same. And that's why it now goes into what I will call adjustment of social values. For instance, Kingsley, I don't know how many of you, your mother has or your dad, but mine, we were five. But because of the rising cost of living, I decided not to have that many. I've reduced considerably the number of children I will have. Because I know the price of running a family is exponential. So likewise, everybody will have to adjust. If you cannot afford 3-bedroom flats, you have to live in 1 or 2. If you cannot afford private school, you have to take your child to public schools. If you cannot, whatever you cannot afford, even car, some people have parked their cars and are now going about with public transport. I'm not saying that is the ideal. It is not the ideal. But the reality that stares you and I in the face is that everybody will have to adjust their set. I know, even for when you started this media work, I'm sure your salary then and now is not the same. Everybody is asking for more wages and salaries. Everybody wants, even when you are in service, when you are a service provider, you also do what? You also adjust. Even the cost of beverage, you could see how much do you buy a bottle of beverage in time past. Even water, even a bottle of water that we used to buy for 15 naira. I'm not sure you will get any bottle water for 15 naira any longer.
None goes for 100
everybody will find a way of adjusting their set. It is not the ideal, but the reality check is that when you are planning your family, you must plan with this at the back of your mind. How do I intend to fund and run this family?
Okay.
What salary will I be able to do that and give them basic necessities of life? It's a troubling, it's a very pathetic situation. I am equally affected. I'm heavily indebted, but life has to go on. Everybody will have to adjust their set, hoping and praying that they will get more resources. Because as you and I complain, every month people are becoming billionaires. Look at the entertainment sector. Look at the sports. Look at how much people are paying to sign on fees for footballers. In the days of Segun Odegbami and Christian Chukwu, how much were they earning? But today, a 20-year-old boy is earning mega bucks. You may say how many of them, but the bottom line is that some people are able to use their talents to make ends meet. Look at the skit economy, my brother. Look at the skit economy. People that we thought are never do well, who are bottom of the class, but they have earned their talents, they are now into skit making, and they are making mega bucks. They are building houses, look at what Mr. Macaroni, what he said he lost. He said he faced a challenge of 500 million indebtedness. And yet he said he's not begging for harms. He's not asking people to come and pay for him. But you can just imagine how old is the guy that he could afford to chalk up that kind of high level of indebtedness.
All right.
Look at our comedians. Look at so many. So that as much as there are limited opportunities, but this hardship is making people to think out of the box, and they are trying to now make a living outside of government. When the Nollywood people started Nollywood, there was no government support. But today, many of them are living comfortably, many more opportunities, even in the ICT sector. Look at the number of Nigerian youths who are now making it big in that sector of information communication technology. Those are opportunities that were not there many decades ago. So as the hardship persists, more people will be able to reason out what they can do to stay afloat and live their dream.
All right. It was started as conversation solely about the power supply for the presidential villa and the Aso villa. Has now morphed into some more economic class, and what a way to close. I've been speaking with political commentator Jide Ojo, who joined me from the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. Jide, many thanks for joining me again today and for your time and your take on the conversation.
It's my pleasure, Kingsley.
Yes,
have a great.
You too. That's Homo Politicus today. We'll continue to monitor this development, see how this goes. The most maybe important part now is to see how this 10 billion naira it's expended, if this is going to be used for what it should be used for, and what happens going forward with the entire power sector, distribution, generation distribution, and indeed the affordability, which is the crux of the matter for Nigerians. It's been Homo Politicus. Stop by the comment section. Let's know what you think of this and a lot more. Until next time, make sure you're safe and God continue to bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Bye for now.